Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. We can start by introducing ourselves. My name is Rebecca Roth. I'm from the Medical Library.
My name is Chris Jimenez. I'm from this library, Green Library, Web Services Library.
Hi everybody, I'm Frank Fajardo from the Medical Library as well.
You can't hear it?
Oh. Okay, is this better?
The camera's on.
Just 1 second. We've got this virtually going. The microphone? The camera. Oh, the camera. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is Mendeley.
It's not viewing the screen?
Should I proceed? Okay, so this is Mendeley. It's one of several citation managers that we talk about in our workshop series. You might have been getting notifications about it. When I say citation manager, it's also called a reference manager. So you might hear those two terms interchangeably. So are people here familiar with any citation managers? Have they used any? Has anyone used any citation managers, or is this like a new concept? Okay. Okay, so basically a citation manager is kind of like a virtual filing cabinet. So it's a place where you can keep track of like all the literature that you're using when you're doing a lit review or writing a research paper. And it's kind of like your own database of your favorite articles, which you can then use and reuse every time. So as a citation manager, you can be in something like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and you can be writing and you can be drawing from that database of articles and inserting them in where they'll automatically format themselves as in-text citations and as a list of references. And then you can change the style in the click of a button. It's also an opportunity to collaborate with other people. So what are some of the advantages of using Mendeley? For one thing, it's free, which is great, and it's a very robust tool. It's very good for collaborating. You can have one account and be sharing folders with other people. You can also have many accounts if you want to. It has some very good annotating features. So once you see it, we're going to show you the online version and the desktop version. But yeah, you'll see that you've got lots of ways you can make notes to yourself about the citations you're using and even the full text of those items. There's also a social networking aspect to Mendeley, which we won't go into in too much detail, but that's one of the bells and whistles that you can learn more about if you're interested. It has some smart technology where if you use it a lot, it can start finding other articles that it recommends to you that you might be interested in. And it also has a very nice mobile app that's like branded and very good at syncing with what you're doing. So it syncs very well. It can live on your desktop, but it syncs to the cloud, or you could just have the online version, and then you have the mobile app. Now, some of the disadvantages are, I mentioned Google Docs, but it doesn't work quite as well with Google Docs. It's very good for working with Microsoft Word when you want to insert citations and dynamically update what you're writing. Another disadvantage is that the features in the desktop don't exactly look like what you see online. So you just have to train yourself to remember that a few of the icons are in different places.
All right, so let's get in the driver's seat and let's get going. I'm here at Mendeley.com. From Mendeley.com, you can go ahead and either sign into your account, or if you haven't created an account yet, you can create this account. This works with any email, so you can give your FIU email, you can give your personal email as you choose. I'm just going to go back. I'm going to sign in to our pre-created account here. So just a moment. I'm going to show you the online version, and then we're going to switch over to the desktop version. Okay. So in both versions, we'll sync your references so you can carry them around with you, okay? The desktop version does have some features that are over and above what's offered to you online, okay? But here we are. We are on the Mendeley Online version, and we have these tabs across the top, okay? So it starts off with a feed, which is basically a dashboard that gives you an overview of your social network. right? It includes these suggested articles, articles posted by scholars you might follow, right? Some activity that might be going on your own citations. You can actually claim your work and see what, how other people might be using it or reading it. And you can view your group activity from here. So it's kind of like an at-a-glance view. I'm going to switch over here to the library. The library shows you some options where you can view, organize, and manage all your saved references. Okay, and this is going to be the main focus of the workshop. So yeah, the first time you log in, it's going to give you this walkthrough. But we'll be coming back to this and basically focusing on this this aspect of Mendeley for the rest of this workshop here. Okay. Next, we have the Suggest tab, which we were talking about the smart technology earlier. This is where the smart technology comes into play. So we've already seeded the Mendeley with several searches on grad students and happiness, grad students and stress, grad students and confidence, right? And now we have suggestions that are being sent to us. So we added this article. Maybe I would be interested in reading this other article based on some of the metadata that is applied to the first article, right? So I can add it to the library. I can view similar articles, right? I can try to get the full text of that article, and so on and so forth. So as you see, we got a whole bunch of suggestions based on the contents of our library. Next, we're going to look at groups. So groups are these spaces for collaboration, right? So a group can be public, it can be private, or it can be by invitation only, okay? So what does this mean? Basically, you have two types of users, right? You have just any user, and then you can have an invited user, right? So these groups, they enable you to exchange ideas. You can share documents from your Mendeley library with your colleagues, with students and peers. You can share PDFs legally, right? In private working groups, or share these references, right, in the public groups. So here we go. We have you have a public group where you have anybody can see and anybody can post, right? Just anybody can contribute to this public group, right? Then you have private groups where only an invited user can view the content and only an invited user can post content, right? So it's completely private. You have to be invited completely in order to even view it, okay? Private. And then by invitation means anybody can view the content. You can browse through the public groups, which is a section here in Mendeley, and find a group that's interesting to you, but you can't necessarily contribute unless you're invited. Okay, so those are the three groups, and that's the difference between them. There's more here in Mendeley. You have data sets that you can browse through and take a look at. There's even a careers tab where you can look for jobs, and a funding tab where you can look for grants and that sort of thing. But we're not really going to even look into that right now. Okay, we're going to go back into our library and work on adding references. Oh, before that, let's go ahead and make sure we can get the desktop version. Okay, so we're going to transition now from the Mendeley Online to the desktop version. Now here's how you get that. You're going to go into your profile in the upper right hand corner and you're just going to click on Download Mendeley. From Download Mendeley, you're going to have several options. Okay, first of all, you have Mendeley Desktop, so you can go ahead and download Mendeley Desktop, make sure that's installed, and then log in with the same username and password you created here on this site. And there are add-ons as well. You have the Web Importer, which will scrape information from any website that you might be on. Slow down. I'm going to slow down a little bit. So Web Importer will scrape the metadata from a website. So if you go to NewYorkTimes.com, you go to MiamiHerald.com, you find you can even do a search in our databases and run for some of our databases and run the Web Importer. It will actually pull in the information as well as the PDF if it's available. So you might want to add this to your browser. We have it here in Chrome in the upper right hand corner. And then there's the Citation Plugin, okay? This is being phased out. In fact, most of the plugins are being phased out for citation management tools in favor of the Word Office store, okay? So there's actually an application that you can get in Word. That's what we're going to use for this workshop, because that's really where the citation management tools are going. But you can get the plugin still, where Mendeley will live in the ribbon of Word. But like I said, we're gonna be showing off the Office tool, and then of course you can link out to the apps, the mobile apps for Mendeley.
Do you guys have any questions?
This is a good time to pause for questions on chat on online.
Have people had a chance to make accounts?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. So in this workshop, we're going to be using a plugin for most of it, or?
In this workshop, we're gonna turn our attention now to Mendeley Desktop.
Oh, the one like installed on the computer.
Installed on the computer. We will show off the web importer as well, but this is where it's going to go. It's all going to go into the desktop version, and we will synchronize it.
Oh, I was just going to ask what synchronizing. So if I just save something on the web one and I hit sync, it should show up at the top.
It should download it. Yes, it did not.
Oh, I lied. It just did it.
It did. Good. Oh, actually, I can make that smaller. There you go.
Yeah, guys, another thing that just came up, if you're downloading Mendeley for the first time, make sure there's a verification email that comes. Click that first before you open up your desktop, okay?
Right.
That's important.
Yeah, when you set up the account, you do get an email. Yeah. Make sure you click on that email to activate the account. All right. All right. Frank's going to show us how to get references into Mendeley.
All right, folks. So I'm going to show you how to get some references into Mendeley. Okay, so we're going to work on the desktop now. So we'll minimize this. And let's start by going into our catalog. So if we go to library.fau.edu and follow along, we'll select catalog. Let's do a simple search. Let's do graduate students in stress. And see what we have. So here's a search that we just did, and then we're going to go through our results. And here we have a whole bunch of stuff that we want to look at and see maybe that something that's working for our research. And here we come across a book. Here's the first example: Teacher, Scholar, Mother, Reinventing Motherhood in Academy. Let's try and export this and use it to bring it into our desktop. Now, the nice thing about Mendeley, it has that web capture tool, the web importer, that works very nicely. So if you're doing like a single citation or picking up a reference just from the page, just like this one, you want to go ahead and select that book, that title, just click on there, right? And then right here on the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the Mendeley Web Importer, right? Want to go ahead and click on that. And it's going to ask you to sign in. Right? And it's also going to ask if there's any PDFs available of that citation, especially if you're working with articles or something. That's something nice to have. It'll pull in those PDFs. So here's that reference. That's that book that we just found and we searched on our catalog. Go ahead and click. And then you want to select the folder that it's going to go under. And right here we have already a folder that Chris already made that says Grad Students in Stress. Let's go ahead and click that. And all you have to do is add. And that's going to add it to our folder. And I'm going to show you right now. That should appear in our desktop right over here. This is in our documents. It should appear in Grad Students in Stress. And yes, sync. It's very important. So click sync always. There it is. All right, very easy to do. So that web importer, it's a very nice way of getting those citations in. Another thing that you could do is also, and I won't suggest that you go ahead and if you try, and do it this, hold on, let me move this up here. So we're back in our catalog. If you try to do all the, it does not work that well with all the results here that you have in the catalog. You just can't do it because it's going to pick up the page. It's not going to pick up the actual references. So if you were to try to do that, it's going to look a little bit strange. So the best thing to do when you're using the web importer is just pick one reference at a time, and you can bring that into your desktop. Okay. So that's one thing. Now let's try this with something like Google Scholar. A lot of folks, if you want to go and look through Google Scholar, look at a couple of articles that you want to pull in. So let's go ahead and do the same search. Graduate students in stress. Oh, here we go, CAPTCHA. No. Oh my God. Sorry, folks, this does it from time to time. Okay, so here's the results. Graduate students in stress. So you try to go into Google Scholar and do the same thing. You're able to actually pick all the results or one at a time if you want to. So here's one, international student stress, graduate student stress and social support. We'll go click on that. Wait, what did I do? Let's go ahead and click this one. Perceived stress in medical, law school, law and graduate students. So again, we go to the web importer here on the upper right-hand corner. Go ahead and click it. And there is your reference. And see, it's checking if there's a PDF available, but it's going to bring it in to your desktop, to your library, the one that you just created. So it's still checking. You can go ahead and select that. And then again, select your folder, the one that you want to import it to, and just click add. And it's going to appear in your desktop again. Again, remember, you must sync it. So now we have the grad students and stress folder selected. Go ahead and click sync. And there it is. Okay. So any questions on that so far before I continue? Yes.
How do you create a folder on the Mendeley?
Mendeley?
Mendeley.
You should be right here on the desktop. You see at the bottom, there should see something that says create folder, and you can go ahead and do that there.
Oh, okay.
All right? Yeah, just give it a name, whatever you want. Okay. So those are two ways. Now, let's say I want to import multiple references from that Google Doc, the Google Scholar search that I just did. Let's go ahead and go back. So here we have all of these results on this page. Now I want to pull a bunch of them in. You can go ahead and do so. Again, using that web importer. Click it again. And those 12 references that appear on that page, you can pull in one at a time or all of them if you want to. Okay? Be able to do that. So here's another one. And see, it's checking for the PDFs. It's a very nice thing. That's a very nice option. So you're selecting the folder, go ahead and click Add. And it brought those two in. So once again, when we go to our desktop, let's see, we have our grad students in stress selected. Click Sync. And those two appear at the bottom. And you'll see the PDFs are attached. Okay. Another thing that you could do, and a lot of stuff, especially for Rebecca and I, we use the database Pubmed quite a bit. And for those, that you're doing some biomedical research or something, it's a very nice, if you want to use that database, that's another thing that you could do. So in Pubmed, and we go back to the web page, the web browser. Let me click this down there. If we go to pubmed.gov, let's repeat that search again. Here we have our results. Okay. And again, you could do the same thing. You can go ahead and click on one that you like, that you want to use, using that web importer. Here's the article. And see, it found that it also has a PDF attached. Go ahead and select that. And make sure that you have your folder highlighted, the one that you want to import it to. Go ahead and click Add. And there you go. Now, the new Pubmed, the page that I'm showing you right here, we go back to Pubmed. This thing, especially when you're going ahead and doing a search, let's say if I do it again, graduate students in stress, or let's say another one like this condition right here, the web importer does not bring in multiple references. It has, the old legacy Pubmed does work. You're able to pull in all those references, but not with the new Pubmed. That's a little bit of some pages, you have to be very careful with that. Okay. But you see, it just works with a single one. It's very easy. It works well. Another thing that you could try, especially when you're looking and using our catalog, is our databases. So if we go back out, and we click on back to library.fiu.edu, go ahead and click on Research Start. And let's see, A to Z databases. And we'll try one like, let's say Sinol. That's one that we use quite often for nursing. Again, we'll do our search. Now you're able to select one at a time if you want to, but also you can select multiple. So the way you would do that, let's say that these two, maybe I like them, it's probably something I could use for my research. Go ahead and put them into the folder. Or you could do one at a time, whatever you want. And then when you go up to the folder view up here, you can select both of them. And then what you do is, here's a little success. You can just go ahead and click export. Make sure to remove these because if you continue doing the search, it's going to pick up the same articles over and over again. And the format that you want to use whenever you're like saving from a desktop or like using a database is IRS format for Mendeley. It's always going to be IRS. That's the format. Let's go ahead and click save. RIS, I'm sorry, not IRS. My tax is already in, I promise. Thank you, thank you. So it's going to go ahead and, what is this?
It wants to open itself in Zotero.
Okay, no. So, okay, not the one that I want to go to. Okay. Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
So because we have multiple citation managers on this computer, it's treating that RIS file like generically, and it wants to open in another one of those citation managers. So I'm just going to do a quick trick here. Open file type with. If you decide to go with Mendeley, you can do this once and you won't have to worry about doing this again. So we just want to get it looking the way it should for the purpose of this demonstration. Let's see if I can do that again. I'm sorry, this is taking a little while. Okay, so we'll fix this. So for going forward, we shouldn't have any problems. If you're having an issue on your computer, we can assist you. Going down to, okay, so here we want our RIS files to open up, not with Zotero, which is another citation manager, but Mendeley. Another option we can do is have it open up with TextPad. Let's see where this is. It's not. I don't think we can show RIS indirect exports for this workshop.
Yeah.
We could see.
Well, that we can do. So it's too bad we can't show you the indirect exports with databases, but another thing that's very nice about Mendeley is, let's say, for those of you that collect PDFs, right? You have them all in a jump drive and a flash drive, right? And all that stuff. So this is very nice with Mendeley. So let's say you have a PDF that you want and you want to put into your citation. So you're writing, a paper or a project or something. Make sure that you select the folder that you want. In this case, it's still graduate students in stress. And here, I have a PDF that I have. So just grabbing it from your folder, if you have it on your computer, let's say you have it on a jump drive or whatever, go ahead and drag and drop that. And there it is. Creates the citation like that in 1 second. Very simple. Yep. So let's say you have a PDF, either on your desktop or on your computer, you have it saved, and you want to go and use it for, your paper, whatever project that you're working on. Simply just grab it from wherever that you have it, on your desktop, flash drive, whatever. Just go ahead and drag and drop it right here, and it creates the reference, as you see right here, automatically in 1 second. Okay, let's try with another one. Now, Chris, you do have another one to another PDF?
Go ahead and go to the, drop it into the online version.
Okay.
So I just have a question. When you drag and drop the articles into the folder or into Mendeley, it'll even be able to detect the citation even if it's shared from a professor from the university where the article is not even obtainable through FIU.
It will scrape the PDF. Yes. You always have to double check the metadata to make sure it's accurate, because sometimes the optical character recognition doesn't function quite the way we intend it to. But yes, it should scrape any PDF.
Right. So here's the online version that Chris mentioned, right? So here's the same article. I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop that right there into the library. And see, it created it. 1 second. Yeah. Very simple. That's a nice feature. Yep. Magic. Magic right there. Okay. Also, sometimes you have to resort to creating your own citation from scratch. So what you could do is, in the desktop version, right here, all you have to do is click Add. Wait, no, that's not what I want. The drop down. Add, and then add entry manually. Okay, and you can go ahead by, depending on the type of reference, if it's a book section or a chapter, a film even, journal article, and see that's the metadata, the information that you need to fill in. Okay, you could also tag it. That's a very nice feature. You want to add some notes to it, a URL even, some keywords, okay, and some identifiers too. Those are very nice to add. So that's how you would do it manually. On the online version, again here, just go to Add, New Manual Entry, if you do it on the online version. Okay, any questions about that? Yes?
In the online version, when you drag the PDF, it doesn't put the reference like on the.
It should if you select it. See, on the side? It just pops up on the side, yeah. It's a little bit different than the desktop, but yeah, it does. Just select it and you'll see it pop up on the side. Okay, all right.
Okay, so some of you guys are working online right now with the online version, and some of you are working with the desktop version. But we're going to show you a few more features and just clarify again what's going on in the desktop version once you have it installed. So this is the Mendeley application that's already been built, that we've been building over the course of this workshop. Now this is synced to an account. So you'll have your online account, and there's a button up here. I'm not sure if you can see with the mouse, but once you have your online account, you can sync it, so everything that appears in this library will appear in the desktop and also online. And they do look fairly similar, but there are some differences about where things appear, like we said before. But since this is the desktop, I'm just going to point out that over here is the groups panel. So you see your library, and you click on that, so you're looking at all the documents in your library, your personal one. These are not being shared with anyone at the moment. If you want to be sharing items, you go to your groups. So now we're going to click, I'll show you, we click on the groups down here. This is a set of references that we librarians are sharing amongst each other. So in our libraries, this group will show up, and we can always add to the FIU Mendeley teaching group. So depending on what you're clicked on, you're going to see those references. And then this middle pane is going to be your library panel. So this is where all the articles or items belonging to that folder appear. And when you click on one of these references, that's when you get the actual reference pane. And this is where, corresponding to whichever reference you've clicked, all of that information about that item appears here and can be edited. So here we have lots of links if you want to link out to the article, but what's nice is you have maybe the abstract was pulled in. So depending on what database you are using, if it was a direct export or if it was through an RIS file, it's going to bring things in like the journal title, like the author name, like the year. And if you ever need to make a correction to it, you go in here and you actually do that. So right now it's also asking it's trying to compare these articles with things that are already online. I'm just going to ignore this for now and show you that, say you want to like if you wanted to make a change maybe to the spelling of a name, if you saw that that was wrong, you would go in here and you make the change and then you would save it. You can also, to any one of these records, you can start to add notes for yourself. So I'm looking for a record here that doesn't have notes. Looks like they all do. But what you could start doing to yourself is, you know, I am going to use this in the introduction. And so you can always look back at that again. And then finally, if you have a PDF attached to it, this article down here, it brought in the PDF. If you double click on, if you go to details, then you can see the files. You can find the attachment. You can open it up and then you can start annotating it too. So your library is there, so you either have links to the full text or you have the full text itself already attached. And there you can keep it all together and just keep on changing what you're keeping in your kind of virtual filing cabinet. One more thing to point out is if you go to View and you want to see what these citations would look like, instead of this libraries table, if you click Library Citations, here you see this is a preview of what it will look like when you start to output it. And you can even choose which citation style you want, and you'll see how that appears. So if you see errors in here, this is where you know you can go in, like this is a bad URL, so you're going to want to fix this URL when you switch back to the libraries table and go in and find a better URL to give it. Does anyone have any questions about navigating the desktop version?
So in the view, you were able to change to APA 7. You saw what word was that?
Yeah, so that's View.
Citation style.
Yeah, citation style.
And so then, let's see, yours says 7, but mine only says 6.
There's more styles. As you can see, Mendeley is very customizable. So if you decide to go with it on your computer, you can set up a workflow. So if you're generally using one style over the other, you set it to that and it will be the first option. Yes?
I just found out that one of the PDFs of my professor shared with me isn't detectable. So would it be possible to show like where we can put manually the...
Yes. I have to see what it looks like on your computer. We can follow up with you after the fact, after the workshop.
Okay.
But if it does come in, you do have to, I believe, manually create a record and then kind of move the attachment in.
Oh, okay. That would like...
Yeah. It's like a click and drag.
Yeah, right here you see add file.
Oh, okay.
So you might have that file open somewhere else. And so add entry manually. And then you might start adding all of these things. And then you get a new record there in the library, and then you could attach
Oh,
the PDF. You could even do it, I guess, from here when you're making the file.
oh, and it's
The record.
under new file.
It's add, I'm sorry, the little caret key next to the add, and it would be add entry manually.
Oh, okay.
There's also tags that have been applied to these articles. And if you want to, you can decide to search your library as well. Let's see, you can search maybe by an author and see if it brings it up. And then it brings up the articles with that author in there. And you can probably do it by keyword as well.
So we're going to continue here in the desktop. I'm going to go ahead and sync our, our libraries just to make sure that we're up to date. Now, as we've been adding references, I have a feeling that we may have brought in a couple of duplicate articles. So we're going to go ahead and remove duplicates now, okay? So we're going to go into Tools, and we're going to check for duplicates, right? And I see here that we have 2 duplicates, right? And it gives me kind of a confidence level of, you know, how similar these 2 articles that are actually maybe multiples. These articles are here. So it says here we would probably safely merge the 2 duplicates in this set, right? But we can also take a look, make sure that we're bringing in the right information here. And again, you're not picking one reference versus the other. You're actually combining the 2, right? To make sure if one reference has more metadata or different metadata that's missing in another one, it'll actually bring them both together. So you want to make sure that, you know, the journal articles is correct. Okay, the title is correct. We got the same authors, so on and so forth, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and confirm this merge. And, you know, if I know that it's not this issue, I can change the information, right? So, you know, this would be a great time to take a look here and say, you know what, this proxy link, I don't want it, but I'll keep the resolver link, even though we probably don't want to. But. And so on. Now I'm going to confirm this merge, and my duplicates. I have no more duplicates in my library. Okay, if it's been sorted into folders, the record has been updated. All right. Any questions about duplicates? All right, cool. So when a student or grad student comes to me and asks about Mendeley, the big or about any citation management tool, the big piece of advice I usually give is, it all depends on your workflow, right? If your workflow involves a lot of PDFs, usually I'll say, well, if you already have a stable library of PDFs that you've downloaded, that you have on your computer, maybe let's get Mendeley, because Mendeley, what it will do is it will scour or it will watch folders on your desktop and then bring PDFs in automatically, right? So as you're searching online, you find something and you don't want to, you don't want to use the web importer, or you don't want to, remember some of the, these other steps to drag and drop. You can actually save to one folder, let's be your downloads folder or a special folder called My Research. Mendeley will automatically pull everything in, okay? So I have here on my desktop, let me just bring it up. I have a folder here called Citation Studies, right? I just downloaded a few PDFs from the journal, and I'm saving it here. Now, what I want to do is get Mendeley to always watch this Citation Studies folder, right? So that whenever I add a new article or new PDF to this folder, it will automatically come into my library. And what I'm going to do, actually, just for demonstration purposes, is I'm going to take this, I'm going to move one PDF into my desktop. All right, so now I have 4 here, and then 1 Project Muse here, which is from Citation Studies. And I could have dragged and dropped, right? I could manually put this in, but I want to do this automatically, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go into Add Files, right? So I'm going to click on the drop-down caret. I'm going to click on Add Files. Sorry, Add Watch Folder, right? So I'm going to watch a folder, right? And now what this is doing is it's navigating the structure of my computer itself. So I'm going to go down to my desktop, which is not expanded. Here we go. I'm going to expand my desktop. I'm going to check off Citation Studies, okay? Now, if you have a folder, if you have multiple folders, you can check multiple folders. I can go ahead and pick EndNote PDFs, which will bring in whatever's in that EndNote PDFs folder, or so on and so forth. I guess, I think you get the picture, right? So, but I'm only going to watch Citation Studies now. So I'm going to go ahead and apply and click OK. It's already in, right? So here we go. We've got a bunch of articles here from Citation Studies, right? When I go back into my my desktop, right? I'm going to go back here to Project Muse. I'm going to drop Citation Studies. This is just like as if I downloaded it, right? I'm going to put it into Citation Studies, and as you can see, it added it here. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 articles. So as I'm searching the web, as I'm searching databases, I can actually download PDFs directly to my desktop and have Mendeley just go ahead and grab them, right?
There's a question from online.
There's a question from online.
Yes. So user wants to know about creating website citations.
Website citations. Okay. That would be using the tool, the Mendeley Web Import tool. All right. So if you go to a website of any kind, if I go to the New York Times, right? Go to today's paper, and Fed make emergency rate cut. This would it depends on the scrapable data from the website. Okay, so each website's going to be different. Miami Herald's going to look a little bit different than the New York Times. You're going to click on the Mendeley Web Importer. Okay, and it's pulling in this and it's recognizing it as a web page, and we'll just go ahead and add it. Right, and when we synchronize the desktop, it's going to bring it in. So let me move my tool here. Was that
Yeah.
what was being
But
asked?
one of the things that we have to do, because it pulled it up as a web page, but it's a newspaper article.
Right. So once this synchronizes, we can go in and change the type, right, from web page, right, to newspaper article. This is not it though.
Yeah,
but
it's right below.
It's right below. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So we're going to need to change this from web page now to newspaper article, right? And it didn't pull in the authors. That's interesting. Yeah. So you'll need to fill out some of this information.
Yeah,
Right. Go
so
back to the.
Yeah, what you pointed out, if it depends on the data that's coded, it's that it can scrape from that page. So you do have to make some corrections to some.
Right. And that's why we always say to double check.
Yeah.
To double check, triple check. Now going back to the PDF management, right? As you can see, the information here on our PDFs, right, in Token Study, it's not very useful, right? It just kind of says Project Muse and it gives it an access number, right? You don't know what this PDF is for, what it's about, what it does, who wrote it, right? So what we can do through Mendeley here is we can actually have Mendeley take this information and rename the file with the description that the Citation Manager can scrape from here with the actual metadata, right? So I'm just going to show this to you right now. So again, we're going to go into that watch folder, and we're going to switch this over from watched folders to the file organizer, right? And we can organize files. So to turn on the feature, we're going to check that box off, and we're going to browse, right, to locate, where we want to save this. So I believe it had it in in documents. Yeah, so it's in documents, Mendeley Desktop. Okay, so it's going to take it out of that watch folder and put it in this. It's going to manage it centrally from this folder. Okay. We can also sort files into subfolders. So if you wanted to create a structure, right? So you're just downloading, maybe you're watching only your downloads folder, and you want to create like some kind of semantic structure where you could find it later. Yeah.
Yeah, I just have a question of how do you organize files that are in different libraries, like how do you transfer them into one folder?
This will do it,
Oh.
right? So if you're watching multiple folders, now when you turn this on, it will take them and we'll drop them into this one folder right here, where it's going to copy all the files to this folder. Now it's going to take some space on your computer, but just keep that in mind. It's going to duplicate every PDF. Okay. Now we can sort the files into subfolders. Right now, I have so when you go into the folder, the watched folder, it's going to say give you a folder with an author and then the journal, right? And then we can rename the document files. Right now, by default, it's author, year, title. I'm going to apply this. Click OK. And now when I go to Documents, Mendeley Desktop, now I have all these authors, right? So if I know the author, I can go ahead and find that that article and which journal it was published in. Right? Why is this? Why would you do this? Well, again, it gives you the option to automatically organize these PDFs for future review, right? So if you wanted to just go to this one location rather than try to find it in Mendeley Desktop, you can do that. Also, it's for redundancy purposes, right? So you can choose let's say you want to sync this one folder to OneDrive or Google Docs or wherever. So you have one place where you can have it automatically backed up in the event that you delete it by mistake from Mendeley. Any questions? And this was we got a little bit technical, so just want to make sure I didn't lose anybody on that. Okay, we can talk afterwards if anybody had questions. Oh, yeah.
I have questions, but it's about something else. So keep going.
Okay, okay. We already actually covered collaborating, so do we want to go ahead and get into writing?
Yes, so let's start with the magic. This is where you guys want to get into it. So one of the things that you did was download that plugin for Microsoft Word, right? So this is nice. This definitely saves a lot of time in terms of when you're writing and your productivity. You're putting all those citations, especially in-text citations, and also the citation style. That's very nice about desktop, the Mendeley. So let's say I want to go ahead and start writing my paper, but I want to check that all of my references are okay. They look okay, right? And this is what I like to do. I want to create a one-off bibliography or a references page just to see that everything looks okay. If not, I have to go back into that reference, into the desktop or the online, and I have to make corrections, whether it be an author, some sort of metadata that I have to fix, right? So you can go ahead and select the folder that you've been saving all your references to. In this case, it's the grad students in stress, which I selected, and I'm going to select all. And before you do anything else, make sure that under the view, you select the citation style that you want to use for your paper, your project, whatever it may be, right? So I have APA 7 selected. That's the one that we're using, right? Okay, but you can definitely use any of the other ones that you want. So there's APA 7. So I go back into my folder. I'm going to select all. I right-click, copy as, formatted citation, and I'm going to open up Word. I have 23 documents selected here. And here's Word. Just right-click and paste. And those are all of my citations in that folder in APA 7. So this is a good time that I want to look at it. Maybe the DOIs, there might be something there. Maybe the URL, something's wrong with it. The authors, I want to make sure that everything looks okay. And make sure that it also follows the citation style manual for that particular style. Okay. So that's the one-off bibliography that you could do. You could do the same thing with the online tool if you want to. Okay, very simple. So I'm going to repeat that again just for you to catch it, right? Yes, go ahead.
If I've already got like 500 in my regular library, I just have to drag each one into the folder.
And you could do that. Yeah. Yeah, just drag it into that folder. All right. So that's the one-off bibliography. Again, you could use it, create it from the desktop version or the online version. Okay. So I want to go, besides that, I want to start writing my paper. So let me just go ahead and start typing away. This is my first sentence. Right, so here I'm writing my paper, I'm starting to write it. And right here, Mendeley should have installed in the ribbon, so I'm going to move this from the top here, down. Under References, just click on the Reference tab. And right here, you see Mendeley Cite-O-Matic. Go ahead, Chris. You're going to use the store? Okay. So going to Insert, go to Store, and under Office Add-ins, we're going to go and type in Mendeley. And here, Mendeley Cite, that's what you need to add. And go ahead and continue. And it's going to pop up as a window right on the side. Now this is going to look different, you know, depending on the operating system, right, between Mac OS and Windows. But then it's going to ask you to sign in. Okay, so right here, these are my references. It should all appear on the side. And then I want to go ahead and make sure that I have my citation style selected. So there you go, it's a PA7. Here are my references, and I want to go ahead and add this one, The Road to Healing. Just go ahead, click Insert Citation, and there it is, as you type. Now let's say I want to add multiple citations to this particular one, so just in the same area. So I'm going to go ahead, I want to add the second one here. Go ahead and add it. Whoops. I believe this is the one. Here's the second one, and let's say Marmont. And here's your citations. Let's say if we're adding more than one author, more than one paper, and stuff, that's how it should look like. More than one article, right? It's very smart, and it does a very nice job. And then you could go ahead and select the citation style if you want to. And let's say, well, the one that Rebecca and I use a lot in the medical school is the AMA style. So you can go ahead and switch it from APA7 to AMA. Just click Update Citation Style. And there it is in order of appearance. So you see the superscript 1 and 2. And you can go back and forth. Select it back. And there you are. And as you write, you also have the ability to insert the bibliography. So right below, and it'll change it. As you type, as you add citations, it'll add references to your bibliography. And you have a question, I see.
Yeah, so that's different, I guess, than the one I have. Mine's a little in the reference section. It's open Mendeley. You insert and you merge citations. This is specifically in the store. Is it different?
In the
It looks
store.
Totally different.
Yeah. So you're probably using the one that's in the ribbon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, under references.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the Mendeley Cite-O-Matic. And you can go ahead and the same thing, you have the ability to change the style. Probably it's a drop-down menu.
Not that I really need to change this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can. All right, so maybe I can change it.
Okay, and you also, you know, let's say if you're adding something, you're working on the online version or the desktop version and you don't see it appear, make sure that you also refresh every time that you add some, just in case.
Yeah.
So that's something you can do.
This is the better.
You have the option. Yeah.
You currently have the option, but they are moving towards Mendeley Cite.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that, for that you have to actually go to the store.
Yeah, so go ahead, insert, go to the store, and then just type in Mendeley. You'll see Mendeley Cite. That's what you want to install as an add-in. Right? Any questions on how to do that? No? Yes.
Can Mendeley detect particular citation and substitute it with other?
Like a better, more complete citation?
Like the index citation, it was Adam 2006.
Uh-huh.
And I want to change with another paper author, maybe all of them at once. Can Mendeley do that?
You should be, I believe so. Yeah, you're able to, when you mean add the different ones and take them out, well, you can, I believe so, because see here under Cite.
I mean, change the whole paper. Changing the whole paper. I mean, in text citation, I was wrong.
Oh, so you need to change the metadata on the actual record?
No,
If the author was listed as incorrectly in.
like I had 2-3 references, and I used the first reference in several places, but I realized that, oh no, it is the third reference. For some reason I did mistake, so I want to swap 1 with 3.
I would have to get back to you on that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Let me see.
Do like a find and replace. Universal, yeah, I don't know.
See, because here I'm adding my second sentence, right? For example, now if I were to, it's just gonna, that particular, but not like a global change or something, probably, yeah. There might be a way of doing that, but we have to get back to you on how to do that, yeah. But you see, it saves a lot of time when you're creating bibliography, when you're writing your in-text citations, and it's so easy just to switch from style to style, right? So that's nice to do. And of course, refreshing the references here are available as well. If you want to insert the bibliography, that's there as well. And all your references should appear here. So it's very nice that it installs. It's in beta, but that's what like Chris said, that's what they're moving to. So you have the option that it's the add-on as well as the ribbon.
So I put the add-on in, but I don't think it'll let me work because the plugin is there. I don't know how you get rid of the plugin.
Yeah, that's something.
We're using both here.
Right.
That's.
It just says it cannot yet be used in Citation Style and Mendeley Desktop MS Word plugin. Don't worry, you can still use the desktop Word plugin. While we're working on this feature, try to use Mendeley Cite.
We're also having a problem over here.